I made the mistake of using Google Chrome in incognito mode. Um, I forget. No, I know why. Okay, I'm traveling to another. I'm traveling for work, and sometimes I like to use incognito so that I guess my cookies, my history, my visits to the website aren't stored in my cache or local memory. Um, so that's why I was incognito. I don't know why I'm explaining myself. I feel like it's actually more suspicious. But there's the incognito leads to the next point, which is I accidentally closed the entire browser, and I lost the saying. There was a sort of saying or something in front of me. I'll try to make it up or remember it. I think it was sort of like move in silence, or oh god, it had something to do with basically never let people know your next move. I wanted to share the warning that anyone who's ever considering a promotion, a new job, you're leaving the company, any sort of career transition, it's very, very important that you do not share this with anyone at work. And this is purely anecdotal. I don't want to say that, the work friends you have are scheming against you or something, but it it's better safe than sorry, and there are just so many instances where this can just blow up in your face. It's not helpful, and I speak from experience. I speak from a lot of experience. I have seen a lot and have experienced a lot, and I'm just a stranger on the internet. But when you sort of rationalize it yourself, or at least listen to these stories, a lot of things will click, and you'll feel a little bit more conservative or private. So I've seen a few examples where, not even seen, I've experienced a few examples where I kind of mentioned, I was leaving, I'll make some big announcement. Um, and it just has usually caused strife. So now I've reached a point where I just rarely try to bring it up. And if I do bring it up, it's just sometimes I just get annoyed. So I remember one time I gave my 1 month notice because I was actually leaving the company for a better opportunity, and I was just, business as usual. I'm just talking and what have you. And I asked one of my coworkers to help me with something. And I remember their reaction. They were very like, "Oh, why should I help you? Like, don't worry about it. You're leaving, right?" And in my head, I was like, "Yeah," but I told them, I was like, "Yeah, but I still need to get this done. Like, just because I'm leaving, when you give your notice, it doesn't mean that the company stops assigning you work, and that for the duration of your notice, you're just on a yeah, just partying every day. Like, there's a going away party that goes on for 2 weeks, or in that case, 1 month, and then you leave." Like, I said, no, I still need to get this stuff done, and they're like, "Oh, I mean, I don't know. Like, I have my own work to get done, and I'm staying around." And I was picking up a certain vibe, some sort of passive aggression. At that point, I think it was massive aggression, and this is very early on. That's why I probably wasn't as sharp as I should have been. And I was like, "Yeah, no, I still need to get this done." Plus, I said, I'm trying to rope other people in so that, in addition to my documentation, things will make sense because, some of you know how these things work and what direction I'm headed, my thoughts and ideas and all that stuff. So, I'm asking this coworker for help, and they're saying no, but they're also it's not just, "Oh no, I'm busy." It's why are you still working here? Like, didn't you give your notice? It's kind of weird that you're asking me for help. Like, why do you even care that um you're like, why do you even care about this work? Like, nobody cares if you don't get it done. You're leaving, right? Like, you're definitely out of here. So why do you care what your managers think, right? Like, it's not going to matter in 1 month. So why even do it? Like, what's the point? It's not like you're going to stay around for a promotion or something, or like you need this to, you know, like, so you can look good. And they were just saying a lot of nonsensical stuff. I don't know if I made it clear, but I was sort of emulating them in that, like, just now. Like, these are the things they were saying, and I was like, this is so senseless. Like, what? Um, and that was one of my biggest lessons. Like, that, yeah, that was a big lesson. It was a little bit of a toxic company, a little bit of a toxic environment, but that encounter was hurtful because we had done some work together. We actually, not we had this weird cubicle where I shouldn't even say cubicle because like yeah, I had cubicle walls, but the cubicle walls are like 8 feet tall. Like it was really weird. They're almost they're almost like actual walls really. And the space we had, like we didn't even really share. There was sort of this divider. Like we entered in a single entrance, but then it sort of went right and left, and then I had a cubicle and they had a cubicle. So I guess we didn't share a cubicle. It was sort of just I guess we shared an entrance to our office area space thing. So it was a little hurtful just because like um, this person had actually kind of covered for me a few times, like for work. So to have them just kind of be like, oh no, you're leaving, you're not really part of my team, or I don't really consider you a coworker. That was a little hurtful, and it was a little bit of a awakening for me that you know what, next time I think I'm just going to give a 2 week notice. And I've actually had instances where if I got an opportunity and they're like, hey, can you start now? I tell my company like I might have to leave in 1 week, but I do usually honor the 2 weeks. I think I've actually always honored the 2 weeks. I did have an instance where I had to actually I got the news Thursday that hey, can you start Monday? If not Monday, we're gonna have to maybe put it off for a couple of months because it's we're about to go into Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving through like New Year's, no one gets onboarded. Like everyone in HR is just out, right? The person who handles the entire onboarding process is handled in phases, right? There's one person who handles I guess the I-9 and W-4. There's one person who handles the background check. There's one person who does this, and so they said if we don't onboard you at this point in like November, you're gone. So I told my boss, I was like, hey, I might have to skedaddle in like a day or two. But thankfully, I was able to talk to the company and say, is there a way for me to just keep working here? And then, basically, I'll do the onboarding with you guys while finishing up here, and we'll just, figure it out where there can be some little overlap, and I can at least give them, 2 weeks. So I was glad to do that. But yeah, when coworkers get weird with you on your way out, it makes you regret, honestly, just telling them or giving them any sort of courtesy. It's not a good look. And this is just one of many examples of what I've experienced. But I want to now share what others have gone through, just because some of it has been worse. Um, One of the people I mentee, she mentioned that she was leaving her job, and right away, all the favors that she'd been experiencing until that point stopped coming in. So she's a single mom, and she sometimes comes in late because she has to drop off her kids at work, or sometimes she has to like leave kind of towards the end of the day, like around 3 to pick someone, pick the kids up, take them home really quickly. All of this is local, so if she's gone, we're talking like 20-30 minutes of absence. She had co-workers would kind of cover for her, like if her boss asked, not that he was nosy or anything like that, but if he ever asked, they would be like, oh, she's in the cafeteria, or oh, she's in that side of the building, or she's in this other, she's on the other site, stuff like that. When she put in her notice, people just stopped mentioning it. Like if the boss asked where she was and she wasn't there, they'd be like, oh, she's there. Like they will, I don't want to say tattle on her because they are being honest, but yeah, right away that favor stopped. She also had, she also kind of needed someone to cover for her because I think she wanted, not one, I think she needed a day off. And during her last 2 weeks, she needed a day off for something that had been sort of planned months in advance before she knew like that she would be leaving her job. And she couldn't find coverage. She couldn't find anyone to cover for her, take over her responsibilities. So that was another issue, which was, people stopped doing things for her. And when she asked people, they were kind of like, well, here's the thing, like if I cover for you, you can't really cover for me, right? Like I'll do you a favor, and then what happens? Like I'm not going to really benefit, so I just wouldn't feel comfortable filling in for you or helping you out, which is that's also hurtful. And God, I think there was one more example. Oh yeah, I mean the other example is that she found that a lot of people just stopped being nice to her. Like they just weren't sucking up. They weren't being flattering. Like they weren't, if they would ask her, hey, how was your weekend, or say, hey, you're dressed really nicely today, like all of that stopped. And I check in with her like once a month, just because she is a kind of a thriving Scrum Master, a little bit early in her career, but she's stable enough where I don't have to kind of give her regular guidance. She's coming along just fine. And I told her, I said, yeah, your mistake was like you you think of your work friends as your actual friends. Your work friends are not your friends, right? That's the reason that qualifier, the work, is there, right? Let me tell you this, no one says high school friends, right? Um, like they'll never say that's my high school friend. They'll say, oh, that's my friend. If you're describing how you know them, then you'll say, oh, that's my friend from high school. That's my friend from college. But work friends is always that qualifier. I feel like is always present just because it's sort of its own distinction. Your work friends are not your friends. Do not share your next move with your colleagues at work. Do not tell them anything personal. Do not give them your secrets. Open up your heart to them. Do not get involved with them romantically or I guess personally. At least not if like you're absolutely sure it's the intelligent thing to do. Because it's just there's more horror stories than there are success stories, right? Your your work quote unquote friends are only nice to you because they have something to gain. Now, are there cases where they might be genuine people? Sure, but a lot, more often they're just there to use you, right? They're polite to you because the professional conduct of the workplace calls for it. Not to say they don't like you, right? But when someone behaves nicely to you at work, right, they talk to you a certain way, they treat you a certain way, you have to understand that there is a pressure on them by the people paying them to conduct themselves a certain way in that environment. If you only meet someone at work, you're only seeing them act a certain way, treat you a certain way because it's their job, right? Their job is that there's a code of conduct they have to follow. So if someone is just nice to you at work, if you're, friends on Facebook, you guys are texting each other, you guys hang out, or your spouses are friends, or your kids have play dates, like that's a totally different story. And I didn't make this clear early on, but I really should have mentioned that this is really for the entry level, early career folks, because at that point, like it's people are just thinking about themselves, right? People are just thinking about moving up, which is rightfully so. People are nice to you. People will cover for you because they think that you will cover for them in the future, right? People will, cover your day off, right? So when I say cover for you, I mean if you're taking a long break or you come in late, like they'll lie for you. And if you need a day off and I don't know, your workplace requires that someone covers your duties for that day, they'll help you, but that's because they want an IOU, right? They want some sort of uh, favor in return. So when you tell your workplace that, hey, I'm leaving, guess what? All that currency that they've accrued over the years by being nice to you, by helping you out here and there, like it all evaporates in front of their eyes. Think about how upset someone's going to be if they covered you like 4 times and you've never covered them and now you're leaving. Now they're just like, why did I waste all this time on them? Like I shouldn't have helped them out because now they're not going to help me out, right? And they're not going to be nice to you because they're just like, I don't need her peer evaluation, or I don't need his, I don't need him to back me or say a good thing to the boss so that I can get like a bonus or maybe, help me like become move up into management because he might be moving into management and, I want to ride that person up the career ladder, stuff like that. So unless you're really heavily socializing outside of work, you would be very surprised how superficial, how shallow, how empty a lot of these relationships are in the workplace. And a lot of people confuse them for real friendships. They think that when they leave the workplace that they're going to keep in touch. They will not keep in touch. These people just, and it sounds so jaded, it sounds very like depressing, but it's just so important. I think, especially when people leave college, I think they're just so used to just meeting people. Like you met someone in one of your classes, it's a random meeting, and then you guys are friends for all 4 years. Like, I think people think that's what it's going to be, right? The person sitting across from you, if you have like one of those long benches that are like desks, or the person sitting next to you, you think they're your friends, or they flatter your outfit, or they ask about your weekend. Let me tell you, when they ask about your weekend, they do not listen to the answer. When they flatter, say, oh, that's a great outfit, whatever. I can promise you, if you came in wearing, I don't know, like scrubs or like a prison outfit, they would still say the same thing, right? So just be careful with having those boundaries. Just be careful with thinking of work friends as actual friends, because these people really aren't, right? I've seen people who confide like their personal feelings to these people in the workplace, and I'm just like, why would you do that? Like, let me tell you something. Secrets are supposed to be secrets for a reason, right? when you share all this stuff, first of all, if you share it to someone in a workplace, like, I can tell you, there's so much gossip that happens. People cannot keep stuff to themselves, especially when they're young. Um, if you're early career, guess what? Now the whole office is probably going to know your business. Or when you move on to another company, and you will, guess what? Now that secret is with this person forever. Like you thought you would be lifeline coworkers, now you're not, and um, now you're just telling your business. And just don't tell your business in the workplace. Don't share things in the workplace, because these people aren't, most of the time they aren't genuine, and they also just can't be trusted. I've seen people who left the company, and then next thing their entire business just gets shared around the office, because people are like, this person isn't here anymore. We don't have to respect them. We don't have to respect the rights to privacy, because like they're never gonna find out. So it's kind of like we haven't really committed any offense. And I just try to refrain from those conversations, not because I'm better than anyone, but I'm just like, I know what goes around comes around. I don't want to disrespect anyone, because I know it's gonna bite me in the back, almost immediately, right? Karma moves really quickly. So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say on the subject. Please just be careful in the workplace. Just get your work done. Do what you need to do. Be polite, but don't be like overly nice. Trust people to get the job done, but don't trust them. Full stop. Just yeah, keep it at professional, and keep people at a distance.